Time for a midwinter update on the garden. The veggies, there's not a lot happening, of course. Middle of winter, there's a few things in there. Leeks along the side. We've got some lettuce and things like that in there now. This frame is for the asparagus. So that all grew up pretty well, and then you trim it all back apparently, and I've got some worm castings around there just to build up the richness of the soil. So we trim them all back as you're supposed to, and apparently they'll come back in spring, I guess. What else have we done? The spring flowers are starting to come up. We've actually had a few daffodils already. There's all sorts of other things and bulbs and things around the place. Passion fruit vine is still doing well. It's even still got, there's the remains of a flower there, and it did get fruit on it, but they haven't really gone purple, so I'm not sure exactly what's happening there. Another little bit of garden here, a few bits and pieces. I can't remember if we had this edging in last time. That was leftover pallet from when I had some steel delivered. It was quite a big pallet because they were full sheets of steel, so I just hacked it up and we made that the little edging just to make it a bit easier going around with the lawnmower. And we just filled it up with barky in the middle. This is a lime tree. I've been trying to pick all the buds off the different citrus trees in the first year, so they put their effort into becoming solid trees. But then we'll let them fruit. But I obviously missed one, so there's a lime on the bottom there. The bins with the flowers and things are to help with pollinating. This is the lemon tree that was here when we originally moved in. That's doing pretty well. This one, it's looking a little bit unhappy, but we have had to move it a couple of times, so we'll see what happens with that one. This garden's doing pretty well as well. There's all sorts of things. Here's some of the daffodils that seem a little bit early. That tree behind there, behind the little windscreen, is an avocado tree. So we'll see how that goes. Let's see. Get a nice view of the hills and the horses and the cows. So this was the last garden we put in with the fruit trees. There's sort of flowers on this side of it and grasses on the other side of it, and a kind of path through the middle. And this one over here was the first one we put in, and that's starting to come up as well. The idea is we'll get some garden furniture when the gardens are a bit more established, and there'll be sort of little chairs and things around the place. It's over here. This one is also growing up, full of sort of succulents and bits and pieces. This is our boundary along here. You can see how wet it's been. The neighbour's field is still pretty mushy, so the horses run around and get all grubby. This was my grapevine. This has all been cut back, so hopefully that'll all start growing in summer. Rose bush there. Just kind of wander around and see what there is. So we go for trips to the beach and bring back lots of firewood, not firewood, driftwood. So the Land Rover is actually quite handy for that. You can just pile it in the back and not worry about getting it dirty or anything. These will be flowers. The head gardener has invested in some steel frame things, garden type frame things. She had to pay to get them delivered, which is always a bit annoying because we're rural, so the delivery always costs a little bit more, even though we're only less than a kilometre off State Highway 1. And we did look at making those, because obviously I could weld something up, but by the time you factor in the cost of the steel, the cost of getting it delivered, the time, the welding gas, all that sort of stuff, it's just easier to buy things. Our fruit trees seem to be doing okay, except for this one in the middle, which I think is an apple. We're just going to see how that one goes. It's always hard to tell. They may all just come back in spring. It's various flowers and things around the edges. This is another one of the plum trees. You can sort of see how the path wanders through the middle. This is the little sort of palm garden. They'll take years to come up, but they're doing okay. These are the plants we moved from the outside the kitchen. We thought one was dying, so we put in another one, but it all came back, and that seems to be all doing pretty well. More random garden stuff. This one's a bit more sort of beachy with the stones and the driftwood, and whenever I go to the beach I look out for bits of bone, so it's quite a large piece there. These are swan plants which didn't get completely destroyed. Stones along here. This is a little, will eventually be a Feijoa hedge, but I think these things take years to grow. The ones I planted in my old house looked pretty scrawny, and they weren't looking that much better after I moved out. So I'm not expecting those to look great for a while. Down over here, got the walnut tree, which seems to be doing okay. A lot of these things that were put in are dying, so we're putting in other little plants in between. You can see a whole lot of this has died off. I don't think the soil here is very good, so we'll sort of see what happens. This one is, I think it's an apricot. Yep, apricot tree. Again, we'll see how that goes. Oh, that's where it's been cut off. Right down in this corner, I've got a little chili tree. This one here. And this has done pretty well, and we got loads of chilies off it. But they're so ridiculously hot. You can only use a tiny little bit at a time. Again, you can see this is our boundary fence, so this is on the neighbour's side, but you can see how wet everything is. You see evidence of rabbits up around here as well. This is behind my big shed. There was a sort of plum tree here. It's on the neighbour's side, and it actually fell over, so we had to get them to help with a chainsaw because I don't have one. Something I need to add to the list. So they helped us chop it all up, which was good. This is down behind Humpty. I just made that today, just a little frame to hang the hose pipe on, and we're going to plant these sort of grasses all around the bottom of the tank just to clean it up. Got more swan plants there. This was another little garden we put in when we first moved in, mainly so that it avoided that, which is sort of a sump thing for a big shed. So we put a little garden in there just to avoid hitting it with the lawnmower. This is the little fern garden, which is, it's kind of doing its thing, a little shade garden. There's more things here. We've been lighting the fire quite a bit, so we've been going through quite a bit of firewood. I think what we'll do is, when it's available again, we'll completely stock up with firewood. This is some of the remains of the plum tree, just dumped in the corner. These things are interesting. They're loofahs. You can sort of see one drying there. I'm not sure exactly how they're supposed to dry out, but let's see. That's the cat cage. Oh, it's a shaky cow. One of those cows is quite inquisitive, and it seems to be a little bit brighter than the others. He seems to go off exploring and get under the fences and things sometimes. But again, you can see how wet everything is. Yeah. Here are the dimbos. There's Georgie. Oh, Georgie. Oh, stick. That one's Jasper. He likes being poked with a stick, so give him a poke every so often. Hey, Jasper. He likes it rough. And then this will be more flowers and things when it all grows up. And what else? And this is our little courtyard. We covered it in these sort of white lime chip stones. I just did a little bit of edging, and obviously we've got a seat there. Might need to top up the soil in here. These are bits of pumice, also just from the beach. I just pick them up when I see them. This was our olive tree, which has been topped, so hopefully that'll all grow up again in spring, summer. It's a rose bush. Various strawberries around the place. Here comes a small dog, and yeah, got a table and chairs there, little pond thing. This copper thing, I want to turn it into a little fire garden. So basically what you do is you run a copper pipe around the bottom of it with a hose that goes off to a gas cylinder, and you fill it up with dry loose sand, and you can turn the gas on, and then the gas comes up through the top of the sand, and you can light it, and it's just like a little fire pit type thing. Yeah, I think that is kind of it for now, really. Obviously it's the middle of winter at the moment, and it's kind of a very overcast sort of day, so it should be interesting to see what it looks like in spring.